And from Aussie Stadium, welcome to the first preliminary final. Tonight, either the Roosters or the Broncos will be the first team through to the grand final. Will it be the Roosters, who haven't won the premiership since 1975, or will it be the Broncos, winners of 5 titles in the last decade of rugby league? It's not a big crowd here at Aussie Stadium, but I suppose it's satisfactory as we look at the team cards with the Brisbane Broncos first up.
And it's a very fresh squad. Darren Lockyer at fullback, Takiri and Chris Walker on the wings, Tate DeVere in the centres, Sean Berrigan at 5'8", Alan Langer at half. Carlo locks the scrum, Gordon Tallis captains the side in the second row alongside Corey Parker, with a front row of Webke, Shane Walker and Sivana Siva. Off the bench, Myers, G, Lee, Maguire, their coach Wayne Bennett.
And a few changes tonight for the Roosters outfit to take the field in a moment. Luke Phillips back from injury, he's the fullback. Mullins, Minicello on the wings. Hegarty back as well. He partners Hodges in the centres. They've been the centres most of the season. Fittler's the 5'8" and captain. Craig Wing the halfback. Ricketson locks the scrum. Morley's back from suspension in the second row with Craig Fitzgibbon, Kalis and Cusack the props. Simon Benetti is the hooker. Interchange of Chris Flannery, Fletcher, Lomu and Crocker, and coached by Ricky Stewart.
So the Roosters supporters here in their numbers tonight. They don't necessarily attract a big supporter group, but they will probably never attract a crowd like this. They've got everything slanted in their favour tonight, the Sydney Roosters. Home ground, home crowd, and the chance to go through to the grand final. Brad Fittler takes them out, aiming for their 8th consecutive victory, and they've lost only one of their last 13 matches at Aussie Stadium. Brad Fittler, 29 Origin matches for Fittler and 34 Test matches. He's won 1 grand final. That man's been a member of a grand final winning side as well, Brett Mullins at Canberra. Gordon Tallis now leading the Broncos out. Joined the league in 1988, along with their coach Wayne Bennett, who's aiming for win number 250 with the Broncos tonight. And Alan Langer is there. There was some doubt about him. 34 Origins for the legend, 22 Test matches, and 4 times a member of a grand final winning side. Andrew Voss is on the sideline. Andrew, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, Ray. And quite gusty at times at ground level, and at other times it's dead calm, so the kickers will have to work out the conditions. One player in particular tonight with a bit of pressure on him, Shannon Hegarty, back in the side. Ricky Stewart doesn't think it's a gamble, but it's certainly a test of his toughness, his mental toughness. This was round 22, a collision with Darren Lockyer, a fractured jaw. He comes back on such a huge night. I'm sure he'll be desperate to get the first few tackles out of the way.
Bill Harrigan has charge of this match, and undoubtedly he will get the grand final next Sunday, tomorrow week at Telstra Stadium, which will be the venue of the other semi-final tomorrow between the Sharks and the Warriors. Fitzgibbon, one of the form players of the competition, and one of the reasons the Roosters are here in this first preliminary final. He kicks off, and it is Sivana Siva who brings the ball back. And already there's a problem.
Yeah, I think it's Jason Kalis in trouble straight away. The Brisbane players reacted.
I think it might be Simon Benetti, is it? Peter?
Yes, you're right, Ray, yeah.
Simon Benetti, if the Roosters lose tonight, he is destined to retire. Michael Crocker is the player standing up on the benches. The news is not good from out there. First tackle of the match, Sivana Siva and Benetti. And as I was about to say, this will be his last match. If they lose tonight, the Roosters, Simon Benetti, who raked up something like 36 tackles in the first half last weekend. And
you have to say it's quite rare to see Simon Benetti attempt to take a player up high or ball and all. He's a legs man. I would imagine he'd be wishing that that's exactly where he'd gone on that tackle.
Well, it's a double whammy as well, because not only did his head connect that man's melon, but his head hit the ground at a great rate of knots as well.
Well, he looks like he might be a little bit cut on that left cheek as well. So quite a punctuation to the start of this game. I'd imagine that Bill Harrigan, when he sees that, will want that treated. A little bit of blood in the area. But hopefully Simon Bonetti, with blood coming from his nose, is going to be okay. I imagine they'll take him straight off. You may not see Simon back for the course of this game.
Well, Ricky Stewart now with that worried look on his face as we look at the blood coming from the face of Simon Bonetti. That black eye on the left eye, that's been there since last weekend. In fact, I was talking to him at a restaurant here in Sydney just on Thursday night, and he was talking about the excitement of playing in the finals. He was talking about winning the grand final and talking about going home to Griffith, where all he wanted to do was get back and work on the farm. They produce rice down there, the family.
And as was the case last week when Bonetti left the field, Michael Crocker comes on. He's in jersey number 20. He will take over the dummy half duties, allowing Craig Wing to stay at halfback.
Pete, I think I heard the referee actually commenting and saying he looks like his face might have caved in a fraction. So let's hope it's not the case, and they'll miss him. He made 40-something tackles last week. He's very busy around the rucks.
Well, the others are going to have to do plenty of work extra. If you take into account his work rate in last weekend's semi-final, this is Carlaw, and he's just inside the 30-metre line, so it has been a disastrous start for the Sydney Roosters as Lockyer drops it onto the left foot and sends it way down the ground to Luke Phillips. And what a tackle on Phillips. He will get no better fitness test than that from Brent Tate. Look at it again. Tate getting under the ball and driving up under the ribcage. Phillips suffered a shoulder injury, so he's had that tested out. Penalty goes to the home side. Harrigan standing, pointing fingers and talking to both markers, who he's penalised. Now there's another problem over here. That is Jason Kalis this time. Well, as I was going to say, Ricky Stewart has now lost Simon Bonetti. This is Cusack. He's taken the risk of bringing Phillips and Hegarty back into the side from lengthy injury spells. And now Kalis is injured. But they attack through Fittler, and he turns it on the inside to Adrian Morley. Centre of the ground. 7 times he's played, or 6 for Great Britain, 1 for England. The 19 is Phillips. 15 away from the Broncos line. Ricketson with the tentative pass out of dummy half. And Wing it is that gets it back for Morley, who was so good a fortnight ago and then got suspended. To the right for Wing. And a left-footed grubber kick. It'll make Lockyer look at it very closely, but he has enough time to let it go over the dead ball line. Telecast going live into the UK through Sky Sports. Operating out of London, we welcome you live to our telecast of the first preliminary final.
And the Roosters trainers will continue to keep a close eye on Jason Kalis. He did not participate in that last set of 6 in attack. He's picked up an eye injury accidentally somewhere and really struggling to get his vision right.
Corey Parker comes bouncing awkwardly off the defence line. And now here's Carlaw again, putting the shoulder to the wheel as they get it outside the 30-metre line. Shane Walker is the dummy half for the occasion tonight. And Petro Sivanasiva is tackled on the 40-metre line. Walker again. Now Tallis, who seemingly in the last month has regained some of his traditional form. To the halfway line they come now with Langer and using De Vere down the right side. Match live for you on the 9 Network tonight. Live and exclusive as Lockyer goes high. The ball doing some funny things. Phillips has lost it. The Brisbane Broncos had an opportunity, but the bounce of the ball beat them.
Well, it's been an extremely windy and blustery day here in Sydney, and that ball was all over the place. In the end, Luke Phillips had no chance of getting it, and Broncos players streaming through, in particular Chris Walker, but couldn't get a bounce.
Is the Brisbane winger bound for South Sydney next year. Here is Hegarty tackled 10 metres away from his own line. Now Mullins using Fitzgibbon. Fitzgibbon running this play at De Vere, playing it back to Crocker, and very much into the game earlier than he expected. Fittler plays it now just outside his own 20-metre line. Here's Phillips, and a hallmark of his performances has been his ability to bring the ball back from fullback, more like a front row forward, more like that fellow Adrian Morley, and that might be it's a scrum. And Bonetti is back on the benches. That is a great sight for the Sydney Roosters.
It's a pretty good decision there from Bill Harrigan. Very sloppy attempted play the ball there from Adrian Morley. And I don't think that Adrian can really claim that it was the Brisbane player pulling him down.
I'm a little bit amused though that he came up with a scrum. There's a knock on now. I thought the incident had to bring a penalty one way or the other. The play the ball with Morley, and here is things being levelled out now on the 40-metre line. They pack it again for Craig Wing to feed it.
Well, I can tell you that is a halfback's nightmare, trying to pick the football up, and the back legs of your back row are getting in the road as the Roosters now keep it alive. Cusack takes it to the halfway.
Andrew, a report on Simon Bonetti.
And the report is good. The doctor doesn't believe there's any fracture. They're just going to let him sit on the bench for 10 minutes. Obviously, he was quite dazed after the confrontation with Petro Civoniceva. They'll just see how he is in 10 or 15 minutes.
Kalis takes it up, so that's good news from the benches about Simon Bonetti, and Jason Kalis took that ball ahead. Here's Craig Wing working it back across the rear of the ruck, and it's Fitzgibbon handing it off for Hegarty. Hegarty tried to slide through, very close to the touchline. Fitzgibbon, a cut-out pass on Morley, finding Wing. Now it's across to Brad Fittler. He turns it back on the inside, and Phillips it is, working in traffic. Penalty to the Roosters, right in front of the upright.
Yeah, geez, he played the advantage there well, Bill Harrigan. He let them run up in defence, and then he just stood there for the next, 20, 30 seconds, while the Roosters had a shot at the Brisbane defence, and then just decided to give the penalty. Good refereeing.
Yeah, it's a great thing for a referee to be able to play advantage. The players appreciate it.
Just keep an eye on Bill. Just, if the camera will stay with him, we still see him. He just stands there, doesn't move from the spot.
Everybody was offside. He's waited to see whether anything is going to unfold for the Roosters. When it doesn't, then he applies the law, and rightly so.
Take him back, Gordon. Fellas, you're like back 10. Back you go.
Fitzgibbon from almost right in front. Would be about 14 metres out. First points in the preliminary final are there. They go to the Sydney Roosters, who've had no luck to date. Simon Bonetti recovering on the benches. We take a break at 2-0. The Roosters leading. Eight minutes gone as we welcome our New Zealand audience. No doubt you're with us tonight. And in Papua New Guinea, welcome. Darren Lockyer with a restart that he didn't really work on it very hard. Cusack brings it back just inside the 20-metre line. Penalty goal to the Roosters as we welcome our Network 9 audience back. And Craig Fitzgibbon tears up the middle to the 40-metre line. Back to Crocker, dummy half, and away for Fittler, who drives that right foot into it. And Lockyer backpedaled for a little while before he brought it away from the 10-metre line, and then he's put down by Ricketson and Morley. Play back to Lottie Takiri, and Morley is working hard. It's a good sign for Ricky Stewart and the Roosters. Morley again, overlooking for Webke, takes him around the legs. Ricketson over the top with Cusack. But this was the type of form that Morley displayed a couple of weeks ago prior to being suspended.
Here's
Phillips now. Phillips turning it back inside for Mullins. Fitzgibbon.
Yeah, that was a big call there from Bill Harrigan. As soon as Langer put that kick in, he called him offside, so he's obviously spotted Chris Walker early as Hegarty runs some dummy half.
Through to Fittler. And across for Kalis.
3, let him up now, Gordon, quick.
34 metres out, just off centre field. They're running towards the southern end of the ground. Ricketson tries to break them, but the Broncos muscle up in defence. Main tackler was Shane Walker. Hodges had that big game against them at the ANZ Stadium when they beat them most recently. Hegarty does some evasive work before offloading to a player who had no hope at all against the Brisbane defence. Fittler. High ball down towards Takiri. He takes it well, Lottie, and is met by Ricketson and Crocker. In fact, there's 4 of them in the tackle, Morley included. Now for Tate. Picked up and driven down.
And in seeing how difficult the ball is to take in these conditions, you would imagine that both sides would continue with the high kicks. Really getting some momentum now, the Roosters, growing in confidence. In fact, you've got to say they've had by far the best of play in this opening 10.
Bonetti kept moving around in amongst the benches. He's getting his senses together. He'll be back in the game, I'm sure, very shortly, as Lockyer punches this kick down the ground for Minicello, one of the stars of last weekend. And he offloads for Phillips, and Phillips is put away 30 metres out from his own line. It was a good tackle on him. He's really been tested, Luke Phillips, and the mere fact that he's taken a couple of these tackles that you've seen in the opening 10 minutes or so indicates he's quite okay. Cusack hitting it up, offloading, back for Minicello. To the 40-metre line they come then. They're over here on the western side of the ground. Morley, straight up the middle to the halfway line. Tallis and Webke extended to put him down. Now Crocker gets valuable ground out of dummy half. You can hear the crowd roaring in the background. Predominantly a Sydney Roosters crowd. Wing through to Fittler. Fittler on the 30-metre line. Beautiful pass, Hegarty. They've got a flick pass away for Mullins. He gets it away for Fitzgibbon. He gets it away for Hegarty. Hegarty put himself back into play. Wing has got the ball. Wing goes to the 10-metre line. Tries to get the ball away. The ball is on the ground. And referee Bill Harrigan ordering a knock-on.
Yeah, but I think the knock-on might be against Brisbane, is it? Not sure. Great play by the Roosters. Good ball there from Hegarty. Mullins continued it on. They were desperate to find support, and the support just kept coming. Craig Wing then over the top. And who knocks it on? I think he said that Tate. Yep, Tate's knocked it on. Roosters feed 10 out.
So Fittler to the 10. Hodges. There is open pasture. Minicello is in. The Sydney Roosters have scored the first try.
Well, that's been coming for a little while. They've had a great start to this game. Very different to their start against Newcastle last weekend. And at the end of this, it was the last tackle. A little bit of good luck went their way, with Brent Tate knocking on here to give the scrum feed. Now, for some reason, from the scrum feed, straight away, Brad Fittler was able to get outside his man. And as we freeze it there, you can see that Fittler, who has the football now, will attract 2 defenders. This second man will come in on Fittler, opening up an overlap on the outside. As play continues, Fittler outside 1, Tate comes in, or is it? Yes, it is Tate. All of a sudden, Takiri's up against Hodges and Minicello. Easy one.
Yeah, pretty ordinary defence, not very well read at all by the Brisbane outside backs. And Minicello had a mile of room out here. Takiri, when they marked up, given him 5 or 6 or 7 metres of open space. And as soon as they were dragged in, it was just beautiful for the Roosters. But Adrian Morley's playing particularly well, the big prop forward. Great in defence. He's making 10, 12 metres every time with the football and quick play the balls. He's going gangbusters.
Fitzgibbon, 10 in, 22 out, strikes it, looks okay. It's between the uprights, the flags are up. Another 2 points to the Sydney Roosters. They're edging towards the grand final. 8-0 after 14 minutes. Well, it was a shaky old start for them, but everything is now evened out. They're playing brilliantly, the Roosters, in spite of the injury to Simon Bonetti. They, though, more than anybody, will be aware that they're playing against one of the super sides of the last 15 years. 8-0 the score as we bring you back to Aussie Stadium on this Saturday night. And Ricketson, in the first preliminary final, takes his team out to their own 40-metre line, and Cusack got a pass exactly at the right time.
And Luke was hit in a great tackle there from Petro Civoniceva as Craig Wing this time is the kicker, driving it down into the corner. Chris Walker does well, but the chase is excellent. Kick chase superb from the Roosters. They're on a high.
7, 8, 9 of them down there in one sweeping line of defence.
Ricketson coming to the sideline, Ray. He did get hit in a beautiful low tackle.
Civoniceva is under there. Is it him or is it Lottie? No, it's Takiri who plays the ball, and Walker rifles it away for Berrigan. Berrigan will play the ball just outside the 30-metre line. 8-0 as we come to the 15th minute of the sudden death preliminary final. Ricketson hobbling away. Now he can show the pain. Berrigan putting his right foot to it. Comes to Phillips inside the 20. Phillips electing to go to his left, and Langer goes a little bit high. It's brought a groan from the crowd, and Harrigan focuses in, puts the finger up to Langer, and it gives a penalty. Langer's been involved in something like 22 finals matches, and of course he's come into this game with his own personal pressures. His dad, well documented, not well, and he's gone a touch high, giving a penalty.
A little bit more touch. I'm actually surprised it wasn't placed on report, I must say.
Andrew sideline.
Well, we may be looking at a case of history repeating. Luke Ricketson, it's a hamstring injury. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, a week out from the grand final in 2000, he suffered a hamstring injury and had treatment all week to get on the field for the decider. That's the story on Luke Ricketson. That's why he's off the field.
Crocker unloading towards the short side, albeit quite wide. Fitzgibbon will play the ball. 15 in from the eastern sideline. Hegarty looks fresh. He's up on his toes. He's lively out there. He played a very big part in the first try. The Fittler getting it away, and Morley running out wide and running at devastating speed. Now Wing takes it up and gets it away. The ball has come off Brisbane, and Crocker is with the ball.
Zero tackle.
Restart of the tackle count. Hodges, Wing has gone without it.
No, mate. We got Roosters first.
So he's ordered a double knock on.
Well, Craig Wing's nearly come up with the Roosters' second try of the night. But Brisbane, well, they're under siege, aren't they? Great ball there from Wing to Fittler. Then it was play on, 6 to go. A little shot down the blind side with Hodges spotting something out there, and Craig Wing just had to dive over but couldn't take a very difficult pass.
It's a good piece of work by the touch judge on our side here at the bottom of the screen. He picked up that little knock on from the Broncos, who've gone wide very early to the right, trying to beat the Roosters down the right side, and Phillips was there to cover it. De Vere is with the ball now.
One of the great qualities of this Brisbane team over the last 10 years is to be able to score points against the run of play.
Well, you don't see this very often. Webke reversing in possession. And another reminder that the Sydney Roosters team has come through, and look at them again. They've come through the competition with the best defensive record in the league, and they're showing it at the moment. Here's Parker. 7 metres from the halfway line to the boot of Lockyer, and punches it down the ground, and Minicello, the try scorer, is on his way back to the 20-metre line, runs into Takiri and Tate. Two of the players that really had a problem. That's a shocking play, the ball by Minicello. He's more concerned about the marker than he was about playing the ball correctly. So they've wasted a play the ball because of Minicello, who was about to give a rap to. Here he is across the ground now, picking up Wing, who goes straight, and is tackled on the 30-metre line. He will play it back to Crocker in jumper number 20. He finds Brian Fletcher, who's on the park in jumper number 11. He'll play it back for second row partner Fitzgibbon to take a dummy half run. Steady as she goes, nothing fancy. Leading 8-0. Fifth tackle, 43-metre gain by the Sydney Roosters. To the right for the kick from Fittler. He didn't get a sweet shot at it, and Takiri brings it outside the 20 easily and is tackled 30 metres out from his own line. Now it is Lockyer who gets it away for Tate, and Morley again. He's moving very quickly for a big man. I'll tell you who's not moving very quickly for a big man is Lottie Takiri. He's hunched over in back play and is getting some attention there from a trainer. So now the bad luck starts to fall on Brisbane. Langer gets it off for Lockyer, and he's picked up by Fitzgibbon and put away. The crowd roars.
Ray, you can see the trouble that Brisbane are having at their own end, because normally Alan Langer doesn't play much of a role at that end of the field. He comes into his own in the attacking zone. But they're starting to go more and more to him because they're struggling to get out of their own end.
Now Lockyer puts the kick in, and it's with Minicello, who takes it away on the first tackle before offloading to Phillips. Let's check on Rickettson's health. Andrew.
And the news gets a little worse. The doctor says he's unlikely to return tonight, and that makes it a very tough job for Ricky Stewart. I mean, we all know Luke Ricketson is one of those players. He knows he can leave him out there for 80 minutes, so it means those bench players tonight, you're going to have a little bit more game time. But what an incredible coincidence. It's in fact the other leg that he injured back in 2000, a week out from the grand final. So if they do make the decider, get ready for another week in the hyperbaric chamber for Luke Ricketson.
15 is Lomu. They've still got Flannery on the benches, and here is Hegarty. Back for Crocker.
Well, the Roosters were claiming that Crocker was held early, was actually held back as a support player, but it's called play on by Bill.
Fittler crosses the 20, throws the pass out in front of Fletcher. And Fletcher takes the tackle 12 metres out. Fittler stays in the game, a dummy half. Wing is there. He puts a little kick in. Brisbane have made a mess of it. It'll be a line drop out. Could have easily been a try for the Sydney Roosters.
Absolutely. Gee, they're playing well, the Roosters. The Brisbane defence is just hanging off, giving them a little bit of room to move. And Crocker was taken out. He still got the ball, though. And this kick from Craig Wing, they just had to turn and look. Takiri was down injured a minute ago. That showed there. He's still probably a bit hazy. They just needed a red, white and blue jumper there. It would have been a try.
And that is just about how the whole Broncos team feels at the moment. They are struggling to get back on side. Dane Carlaw down replacing a boot. Webke's, he's had 20 minutes. That's just been all toil.
The northern end of the park hasn't really been used, has it?
I don't think Brisbane had the football for even one tackle down there, so they've just got to hold on here, the Broncos. I mean, no reason to panic just yet. They need some quality football down the other end of the park, but they've got to work for it.
Their problem is when they get the football now, they're too tired to do anything with it.
Carlaw taking his time doing up the shoes, just getting some oxygen back in the lungs. Now they go back, the Roosters, in search of another try. Fitzgibbon it is on the second play. It will end 35 metres out. He throws the pass. Wing scoops it up. It is with Fletcher. Fletcher, banged over the top and put away there by Andrew G, who's now on the park for the Brisbane Broncos. Here is Hodges circling them, getting it away. Phillips almost through. Tackled 20 metres out from the Brisbane line. Back it goes to Fittler on the right. He floats it over to Brian Fletcher. Fletcher gets it back neatly inside for Wing. Wing is tackled 8 metres out from the line. Harrigan calling Brisbane back for 10. Hodges away for Fittler. Fittler works close to the uprights. Gets it away to Cusack. He didn't quite know what to do with it. Lomu's got the ball and Lomu is tackled on 5. Play back for Wing. Offloads the ball. Phillips puts in a kick. Mullins will get the jump. It's loose and it's over the dead ball line off the Roosters. But it's a penalty. A penalty to the Roosters.
Well, they didn't need this, Brisbane. He's got him for being offside. Tough penalty on the fifth tackle, deep in your own quarter.
Again, Paul, he's been playing the advantage, Harrigan.
Bring him back. Now wait till they get out of the way. Yes.
So Cusack takes the first play.
On the line, hold.
2 metres from the line. 8-0 the score in favour of the Sydney side. Lomu takes it at Brad Myers, looks to unload, thinks better of it and takes it to ground. Crocker for Fittler. Then it's away from Morley. And he's brought down 2 metres out from the line. Fletcher waits and then unloads for Crocker. What a tackle. Tremendous effort there by Berrigan. Play back for Fletcher. Now it is with Craig Wing, who steps and takes the tackle. So far, so good for Brisbane. Great defence. Hodges for Fittler. Fittler puts in the kick, and it's marked in the in goal by Chris Walker.
Oh, that is great defence there from Brisbane. Against the penalty count of 4-0, 110 tackles they've had to make, and it's still only 8-0. This is a gutsy Brisbane effort, I've got to tell you.
Go. On the line, get on the line.
Myers taking the 20-metre tap. And then Shane Walker away for Andrew G. He offloads and intercepted. Not held. That will restart the tackle count. Walker is tackled 38 metres out from his own line. Tallis this time to the 40-metre line. An offload. And Berrigan slides through a gap. Berrigan makes a tremendous run for the Broncos. There's a try coming. Tate is away. Tate will score. Brent Tate scores at the northern end.
And that again is another example of Brisbane scoring points when everything is going against them. They scored that because of the defence down on their own line. Brad Fittler so close to taking an intercept. He had 3 or 4 grabs at it, probably 5 in the end, and Chris Walker eventually caught the footy. And then Sean Berrigan, who came up with a try-saving tackle on his own line moments ago, takes the second phase pass from Gordon Tallis, takes on Cusack, around the fullback Phillips, tries to turn Minicello around, and Brent Tate backing up on the inside. He's a speedster. It's about to be 8-6, and on the volume of play against them, that's quite incredible.
Yeah, this is a reward for what happened at the other end of the park, deep in their own quarter. They held on, they held on. The first time they had a little bit of football in the opposing half. It was a great run from Berrigan, and the first time the Roosters defence under a bit of pressure, and they didn't handle it at all. It opened up through Berrigan, and Tate finished it off beautifully.
So Australia's most recent addition to the green and gold jumper gets the try in the preliminary final. And De Vere converts. So the Broncos are on the board. It's an incredible scoreline, really. After 27 minutes, they're only trailing by 2. So their first opportunity, really, and they've turned it into 6 points. Bennett would be happy with that. Well, you've just come back to us live, and you wouldn't believe this. If Berrigan lets the kick off from Fitzgibbon go, I think it's going to go out on the full. He puts hands out, and it comes off him and goes dead. There is probably no doubt that had he let it go, it would have been a penalty to Brisbane back at the halfway line. Cusack returning the kick, returning the line dropout to the 30-metre line. That's a good place to be on your first tackle. Morley is put away. Andrew G going in. Then Crocker for Wing, and Wing back for Cusack, his second handle on this set of 6. He's 20 out, centre of the ground. Wing again, over to Fittler. Fittler away for Fletcher. Fletcher, Fitzgibbon, pass by Fitzgibbon, but Hegarty couldn't handle it. That was shut the gate.
You won't see better set of hands this year. That was just beautiful stuff. Sleight of hand stuff. Catch and pass, catch and pass. There'll be a hole somewhere. And there was, but Hegarty couldn't take the last one.
So like Newcastle last weekend, some missed opportunities for the Sydney Roosters. At least 2 you could put down as being tries that were there to be taken. Myers plays it now for the Bronx. To Langer and then for De Vere, but he's on his own. And Mullins comes in. He didn't have a worry in the world. Mullins leaving his wing because there was no winger. He just came in and took the centre. Berrigan finds the winger I'm talking about, who was on a roving commission. Walker. Now it's away from Minicello, back to Phillips, and Phillips will play the ball just outside that 20-metre line. Minicello this time. Smothered by Myers. Again, Minicello. It's a penalty this time to the Roosters.
Roll over the side and don't talk to me like that.
5th penalty of the game going to the Roosters. For the Broncos, they've come up empty with penalties. Andrew Voss, sideline.
It was an interesting comment Wayne Bennett made after the win over Parramatta in week 1 of the finals. He said that he thought he had returned to form as a coach using the interchange. He thought he used the interchange a lot better. Well, through the first 30 minutes tonight, he's just about to make his 3rd and 4th changes. But to only make 2 changes through the first 30 minutes when your side has used up a lot of petrol shows he's got a lot of faith in his team.
So 8-6 the score in favour of the Sydney Roosters, and 5-0 the penalty count in favour of the Sydney Roosters as Flannery plays the ball 6 metres into Brisbane's half as Fletcher gets rid of one, and they're taking him across the park. Carlaw taking him over there, and eventually they put him down. Ricketson, we are led to believe, is out of the game. 4 changes for the Roosters and 2 for the Broncos. 35 away from the Brisbane line. Wing out for Fittler, who had a little juggle. The ball is there for the Brisbane side. Played by Tate to Carey, comes away from dummy half, and Flannery combines to make the tackle as Webke goes into the game with Philip Lee in jumper number 16, and Sivanasiva leaves the field with Shane Walker. They go across there. They got an overlap, but Walker is well marked over there by Hegarty. Interchanges have levelled out now at 4. Carlaw taking the ball to almost the 30-metre line. Roosters end of the park. Peter.
That's the second time Brisbane have used that move, with the front row forward being the first receiver. Langer kicking deliberately for Michael De Vere. It's a knock-on from Brett Mullins. Inside the 10 from the half. It's a mistake that, well, you've got to blame one man because he had time here, Brett. De Vere was pressuring. Could have just gone down on it.
One of the stars of last weekend, Brett Mullins, coming up with a mistake. Last weekend, he could do no wrong. Here's a chance for Brisbane. Langer then. From Berrigan, it is with Lockyer, and Lockyer, he beats Flannery easily. Runs away from Hegarty, and Lockyer scores for Brisbane. Their second try of the preliminary final, and they take the lead for the first time.
And the ability and the character of this football team to absorb punishment and pressure and then hit back is quite extraordinary. A simple mistake, Langer kicking deliberately for the centre 3/4, and then, well, Darren Lockyer, we say so often, he makes the difficult look so easy. A little change of direction, it wasn't much. He's a good defender, Chris Flannery, and it's all over.
Yeah, I mentioned before the game about the big match players. Alan Langer and Darren Lockyer had to shut them down, give them no room. Lockyer's got room to move here. He's running on an angle and a little left foot step. Flannery's only been on the park probably a minute and a half. He hasn't warmed up, and he got caught out. All comes through, of course, that mistake made by Mullins. They've shown a lot more patience the last couple of sets of 6 as well, the Broncos, with the football, and put in some quality kicks at the end of it. And they've got the rewards.
So De Vere has got that simple kick to convert the try scored by his fullback, Darren Lockyer. 10-8 now, Brisbane in the lead for the first time. Looking down the barrel of their 6th premiership. As De Vere really doesn't leave any petrol in the tank, he boots it away into the northern grandstand. And it is 12-8 now, the Broncos in front. Andrew sideline.
Yeah, Nathan Kalis watching his brother Jason play tonight. Jason a little the worse for wear on the bench at the moment for the Roosters. Fatty's 100% right about the class players. They don't get any more classier than Darren Lockyer. Interesting little sidelight too, the try-scoring stakes in the Broncos backline. Darren Lockyer moves up to 15 tries for the season, now level with Lottie Takiri and Chris Walker.
And Vossi from this restart, another notable thing at the moment, you can tell how quiet the crowd is, so the Broncos have been able to settle that.
It was always going to be two battles for Brisbane, one to play the Roosters, but one to silence the crowd. Obviously, this is the Roosters' home ground. I don't know whether it's a great advantage for any team playing out of the stadium, but sure, they're going to get plenty of support, and they have gone noticeably quiet over the last 5 or 10 minutes.
So the Broncos in front at 12 points to 8. Half-time, 5 minutes away. Here's Gordon Tallis to the 40-metre line, their own end of the park, as Berrigan puts it down the ground, and Minichiello sets off away from his sideline, and now he's taken down by the defence, a trio of them. Long ball away now, finding Phillips, who tries to get outside the 20-metre line, but Langer brings him down. Crocker offloads for Fitzgibbon. Fitzgibbon goes for full speed and then is tackled 35 metres out from his own line. Here's Hegarty crossing the 40, and Fittler catches and passes, and Flannery gets a ball away for Craig Wing. He beat Brent Tate, and oh, beautiful tackle. Conventional stuff from Berrigan. But the Roosters throwing it around now as Fittler offloads. This time it's with Fletcher. He beats one. He looks back. He's looking for somebody. Finds Luke Phillips, who's tackled 30 metres out on tackle 5. Play back for Hegarty, then for Fittler. They put it through the hands. It is away to Flannery, who gets it away. Wing gets it out on the first bounce. He puts in a little kick. Lockyer's got work to do. It goes over the touchline in goal. It'll be a 20-metre restart. Patience from Lockyer.
Hold the line. Didn't touch it. Hold the line, fellas, and hold here.
And he's got the ball out in his own possession to the 20-metre line rather than a line dropout. Hattie, you've panicked.
Come back on the line.
4 minutes to go to the half-time break. 2 tries to 1. Defies some logic, really, when you look at the tackle counts of the respective sides, and you look at the penalty count, you look at the territory that has been occupied by the sides, and you would swear blind that it would be the Roosters in front coming up to the break.
And the missed opportunities, Ray. We felt with Newcastle last week it would come back to haunt them. It did. Just wonder whether the Roosters are going to pay the penalty for not leading by much more early in this game with the pressure they applied. Sean Berrigan, who's had a marvellous first half, takes the ball one off on the last.
Tallis finds himself at acting half before offloading for a Lockyer kick that goes very high. It's swirling around up there. The bounce comes way back down towards Brisbane's end of the field. Then an offload from Berrigan. Lockyer's able to beat Mullins once. Can't beat him a second time. Loses the ball. Fittler picks up the ball, and Fittler is tackled right on the halfway. Crocker. Fitzgibbon comes to Langer, and Langer manages to put him to ground with the help of Lee. Now Hegarty. There's the offload for Cusack. Cusack hammered there by Langer, and they've used up at least 2 tackles, and they haven't gone anywhere, the Roosters. Here's Fletcher down on the 40-metre line, Brisbane's end. Fittler for Wing. Wing goes back on the inside for Flannery, who picks up a tackle that brought an appeal from the crowd. Phil Harrigan said it was below the neck. Hodges gets rid of one, comes to Myers, gets rid of Myers, goes to the 20-metre line. Roosters fans will be praying that Hodges revisits his performance from ANZ Stadium. Wing puts in a kick, and it's there for De Vere. So how high was the tackle on Chris Flannery? We'll take a look at that as Walker steps away from one, taken in a 3-man tackle. That's the shot, hit the ball, bounced off the ball. 15 out from the Broncos line. It is with Takiri, fending away from Craig Wing, driven down by Justin Hodges. Now it's with Tate, and Tate, he's taken more, rattles him up. And then it's back for this clearing kick from Lockyer. And it'll be with the Roosters for Phillips to approach halfway. 13 from 16 the Broncos, 17-23 Roosters, so the completions are good. Hegarty, Fitzgibbon, they're playing without Ricketson. They're going to have to get used to it though. Our mail is that he won't be back. Fitzgibbon looks at Bill Harrigan for a penalty. Crocker goes left and picks up the Hegarty. He gets it away. It's with Crocker again. And Langer works in defence up the middle. 30 metres out from the Brisbane line. Fletcher back for Fittler. Fittler to the 30. Still going, the big fellow. Gets a ball away. A little bit like a Gidley pass from Newcastle.
Yeah, great Brisbane defence. Wayne Bennett, the coach, doesn't normally say much at halftime at the Broncos. I reckon he'll say plenty at halftime in about 20 seconds, and I reckon it'll be all good. He must be so proud of his Chargers, the way they've hung on, and going in with a 4-point lead's unbelievable. The lack of possession they've had, but my word, they've been gutsy, shown a lot of courage. Great first half for the Brisbane side.
And there's very little more to say. Paul Vautin has summed it up. It is 12-8 at half-time. Welcome back to Aussie Stadium. We're coming to you live tonight on Nines Rugby League. The first preliminary final, 40 minutes away from knowing whether it will be Brisbane or the Roosters going through to the grand final, the first team through. And then tomorrow, of course, the Sharks and the Warriors get their chance. Brad Fittler takes his team back out. They looked a little bit unsteady, certainly at the back half of the opening encounter. They looked to be totally in command, but they had possession. They had little defensive work to do. They had a lot of penalties, but when it started to level out, Brisbane came back strong to lead at the break, 12-8.
And this shows how they fought back the VB possession flow. The first 25 minutes, very, very tough. The possession they had was basically coming out of their own end. They couldn't do much with it. Then they started to get some football, and they started to get some tries. Much more pressure in the second half. 13 from 16 is excellent. 16 is not much football in a half of football, especially when you compare it to the Roosters. 23 possessions, or 24 in fact, 17 completions, not bad, although it did fall away. Again, the first 25 minutes, it was all theirs. This is pressure football, and then from their last 8 possessions going into halftime, 5 mistakes, and a lot of them early in the tackle count. Interesting to see how they strike back from that early in this second half.
And here's the Bundaberg Rum match stats. And if you looked at those stats, you hadn't seen the game, you came into the halftime and you looked at those stats, you'd probably say, oh, what's the score? It'd be Roosters by 20. But it's not the case. It's been a fantastic effort by Brisbane. They fought hard and long, and they've just hung in there. The tackles are against them. The missed tackle rate's high. Errors are high. And really, they've just been fantastic to stay in the game. And to be honest, I think they're going better. And I think they can win the match.
Second half underway, and again more of a curious start from the kick-off by Brisbane. Lockyer not going for a great deal of depth, and it wasn't what you would call a shallow restart either. The Roosters with it then, just outside their 30-metre line. Fitzgibbon got through the first tackle, that of Langer, and he will play the ball 8 metres from the halfway line, and he's very slow to rise, Fitzgibbon. If they were to lose him, they would be in all sorts of trouble. He's been certainly one of their outstanding players. Chris Walker now on this kick return, taken on by Hegarty, Mullins and Crocker, and there's Fitzgibbon. He's in a deal of trouble back there. Brisbane forced back in defence. Fitzgibbon trying to get some feeling, I think, in an ankle. Myers tackle just inside the 40-metre line. So I remember at the start of the game, Bonetti in the first tackle of the match, he was taken off, and it's almost a replica at the start of the second half with Fitzgibbon in the first set in quite a deal of trouble, although he's in there making that tackle on Carlaw together with Mullins. So Fitzgibbon, he looks to have made a speedy recovery. Lockyer's kick, it'll go over the dead ball line. Lockyer scored a try in the first half. It was the first sniff really that he had of possession inside the opposition 20, and he just cut them to ribbons.
Yeah, you must get back to me. One.
I'm told now that Fitzgibbon's got a groin problem rather than an ankle problem, and that's an awful pass to give a man with a groin problem. But Fitzgibbon did well. He took the ball and took the tackle, and here's Fletcher also getting a reasonably chancy pass from Crocker. Still no sign of Bonetti in the game. So Fittler goes across to Wing, and Wing is taken, but Berrigan loses the ball. And Tallis tries to make a break. 40 metres out from the Roosters try line. It is across for Lockyer. Lockyer weaving across, and Hegarty is there with Fitzgibbon. Playing the ball very quickly. Walker got the ball off for Myers. And here we are with play, as you can see, just outside the 20-metre line. Brisbane in a very strong attacking position as Langer offloads. Berrigan's pass goes off the hands of Tate. It went forward. And Andrew Voss is back from the sheds. Andrew.
And first of all, updating the casualty list. There's no dramas in the Broncos camp whatsoever, but for the Roosters, two of the injured troops there. Jason Kalis, right of screen, has a neck injury. He will be back. Simon Bonetti, left of screen, doubtful about a return. And you can see in the rear, Luke Ricketson, he's actually changed back into the civvy, so he definitely won't be back with that hamstring injury he suffered in the first half. Ray, very interesting, a contrast in thoughts of the two coaches at half-time. Wayne Bennett said to his players, look, we pride ourselves in playing out the 80. We'll play it right to the final minute to win tonight. Whereas Ricky Stewart thought that if his side just stuck with the Broncos, they will finish over the top of them. They will tire in that final 10 minutes. So a real contrast. Another message from Wayne Bennett too was to slow down the play the ball. They're doing it to us. Let's do it to them.
And while you were talking, a couple of very good dummy half runs by Fittler and Crocker. So maybe the simple stuff is what they need more of. Less of the flash football and a little bit more simple stuff, and it did carry them down 35 metres out from the Brisbane line. This is the last tackle for them now. Wing puts the kick across. Hegarty's flashing into it. Lockyer's up above them now, and Lockyer is taken by Hegarty.
Right, the other statistic we should mention as we go into this second stanza is the fact that when it comes to discipline, the Roosters have been absolutely perfect. The Brisbane Broncos still awaiting their first penalty of this game. It currently stands 5-0 against them.
Myers. Carlaw proving hard to stop. Hegarty was probably the chief tackler with Fitzgibbon and Mullins. And now it's G offloading for Langer back on the 40-metre line. Berrigan goes across to Tallis. Tallis looks to unload, but there's defence players obstructing those intentions. And Darren Lockyer now reefs it down the ground, and again it'll go dead.
Yeah, it's twice in a row he's done that. He seems to be content to do it, actually. Wind at their backs. I think he's happy just to get his team to line up on the 30-metre mark in a controlled situation. Roosters can't do much damage from here.
12-8 the score. 45 minutes of the game gone. 35 minutes away. Look at Morley running straight at Berrigan. Very strongly. Wing. Here they go again with dummy half runs. And Wing gets the ball away. It's gone loose. It'll be picked up over there by Minicello, who comes to Tate, gets the ball away. Crocker is away from the 40-metre line to the halfway. Takiri makes the tackle. Webke comes over the top. Wing again. Sets off. Fittler works it back across to the blind side. Minicello steps off his right foot a couple of times. Gets it back to Craig Wing, who picks up Peter Cusack, and he is not going anywhere.
Get off him, Shane, now.
Pulled down by Webke. And G just outside the Broncos 40-metre line. Fletcher drifting and then passing, and Fitzgibbon allowed to run, links up with Fittler. Fittler goes back to Morley, the big fellow looking for a gap, and he's tackled as you can see, just outside the 30-metre line. It's picked up on the half volley by Fittler, who goes to the air, and Takiri gets the ball on the run. He runs at Craig Wing. He's pulled down by Wing, and Cusack plays it back for Lockyer. Lockyer looks for a running forward and finds Brad Myers. Play back to Lee, given off to Langer. Langer sets off towards the 40, passes for Tate. Tate comes back. Flannery makes the tackle with Morley. 10 metres their own side of halfway. Tallis running towards the eastern touchline. He's going to make halfway before Hodges makes the tackle. Tallis looks up at Bill Harrigan. I'm not quite sure what that was about, whether it was the manner in which Hodges made the tackle. But Andrew G is tackled now on the halfway line. It was thumbs up from Tallis. And Fitzgibbon got turned around, then he recovered and snatched the ball from the clutches of Michael De Vere. It was touch and go there for Fitzgibbon and for Sydney Roosters. He doesn't look well to me, Fitzgibbon. He's doing magnificently considering the fact that he's not well. Wing, 35 out from his own line. Playing to Flannery, and here is Morley again off a short run up. He's got very good speed for a big man, Morley, and particularly off a standing start. Fletcher. They're making some inroads in around the ruck area, as I said, with dummy half runs and just simple plays to a running forward off the dummy half.
Yeah, I think Brian Fletcher's added something since he's been on. He's been pretty strong out wide, also doing a lot of the heavy work in the middle. I think Brad Fittler, I think he needs to get the ball in his hands a little bit more and take them on. Very constructive player, but he can also be very damaging when he takes the line on.
Here's Myers falling awkwardly. Webkey. Wayne Bennett looking for, as I said in the preview, his 250th victory coaching the Brisbane Broncos. Been there since 1988. A never-ending career. Coach of 5 grand final winning sides, including that Super League grand final in 1997. Here's Hodges beating Langer. And here's Hodges again trying now to beat Sivanasiva. He's got it out to the 20-metre line. He will play it back to Crocker. And here is Flannery. Fitzgibbon. Good strong tackle by Tallis. Myers was underneath, and then Webkey threw his weight into the tackle as well. As Fittler puts in this kick, it's bouncing down towards the touchline. Where did he kick it from, Pete? Was it inside the 40?
It was most definitely inside the 40, and Darren Lockyer knew that. He was very urgent in getting across. And speaking of going across, that's what Chris Walker did. 15 out, so a good result there for the Roosters. There's Takiri. They're very good metres down the short side.
Well, the Roosters, as Shane Walker gets ready to come back into the game, but it is here that the Roosters really need a Brisbane mistake, because they've been playing the game down their own end of the park for the most part of the second half. Here's Tate to the halfway line, so Brisbane have come away from their own end of the ground. Here's a loose ball. It's picked up here by Mullins. Mullins extends. I don't think they're going to get him. Mullins will make it. Mullins scores. It is 12 points all. A mistake by Brisbane, and the miracle worker Mullins has run 50 metres to score.
And it is rare to see an Alan Langer pass go astray. It comes on the right side, drifting across, looking to open something up on the outside, and then it was just a very poor pass behind everybody. In fact, they were a player short because the winger had gone in field, and that's why there was no speed apart from Darren Lockyer in the chase. The winger had gone back inside, and Mullins, he's been a great opportunist this season, and he does it again.
Yeah, the comeback kid. Left Canberra, went to England, he's back. Ricky Stewart threw him a lifeline. He's had a fantastic year. And on the worst side of 30, but he's still got what it takes to run 40 metres in a semi-final and even up the ball game. Darren Lockyer didn't give up. There was an incident here, referee just talking to Chris Walker and behind the try line. Mullins wasn't that impressed with that dive late.
Yeah, Mullins takes a long look at Chris Walker as if to say there was no need for that. A few words under his breath, which don't bear repeating, but it was just a tackle that didn't have to be made by Chris Walker. Could have even brought an 8-pointer, I suppose.
No, I think in his defence, Ray did go over the top of him. There wasn't any great contact.
No, there's no damage done. I'm not saying that, but there was no need for it. He was on the ground. He grounded the ball. Fitzgibbon then from 20 metres out and 12 in. It looks good. It is a converted try. The home side are in front. 14-12 after 52 minutes. So 18 minutes of the second half gone. It's a crazy game, this, Paul. Just when you think Brisbane are playing the better, they're behind on the scoreboard. As you come back from the break on the 9 Network, there's Fitzgibbon. He's now on the bench. I don't know for how long. Whether they've lost him for the night, I'm not sure. On the scoreboard, the Sydney Roosters are in front of the Brisbane Broncos, 14-12. There's some good news. Simon Bonetti, who was injured in the very first tackle of the night, is back on the paddock. And that will release, if he's still there, Michael Crocker to be a running forward. Let me have a look. Yes, Crocker is still there, so he'll become a running forward in place of Fitzgibbon. Bonetti will go to dummy half. The Sivanasiva hits it up to the halfway line. Morley and Crocker making the tackle. Langer, this crowd has suddenly woken up. This is dangerous here. That's very good play there by Luke Phillips.
Oh, it's fantastic fullback play, well shielded by Phillips. Great news for the Roosters. He came back from injury tonight. Look at him, just shielding that beautifully.
And at no stage does he get a touch. So the scrum will be fed by the Roosters, 15 out from their own line, and they're cuddling a 2-point lead at the moment. The crowd, they've been almost silent for half of the proceedings. Oh, Hodges threatening to make a break down the right side. Now they've become vocal, haven't they? Here's Morley.
He's been much more dangerous tonight, hasn't he, Justin Hodges? I thought he was quiet last week, but starting to run the football strongly tonight. A real danger to the defence as the Roosters continue to make good metres and fairly easy metres out of their own end. The referee said that's okay, play on. No, we've got a mistake.
Wing for Fittler, but there's a mistake being called by Harrigan.
Yeah, well, this is a funny situation, this.
Never played it.
Brian Fletcher actually
okay, it's bad luck.
almost tumble turned over the football. Whether was he pulled down, did he do it, was it an accident? In the end, Harrigan missed it, but got a call from the touch judge.
Well, you think there's got to be a penalty in here somewhere. Either he hasn't touched it with his foot or he's been interfered with by a Brisbane player. I just can't see how you can come back and set a scrum.
Lock in, lock in. Get in, lock, get in, lock. Roosters, lock.
That's the second incident in the game where I was of the belief that there had to be a penalty. It just couldn't be a scrum restart. Twice tonight, though, when you're almost certain there's going to be a penalty one way or the other, Bill Harrigan has chosen to restart with a scrum, but Brad Fittler was away.
I really thought half-time would help Brisbane no end, but I've got to say, they've almost looked lost in the first 10-15 minutes of this second half. Really struggling to get any fluency going, and it's just not the kind of Brisbane attack that we've seen before. But
there's Lockyer, puts a kick in. The Roosters are struggling to cover it. Now they do. Flannery is with the ball. Crocker out to the 10-metre line, and they take him down. 3 of the Broncos.
Get some foot on it.
Kalis also back into the battle. He was injured very early in the game. They've had no luck at all with injuries. And quite incredibly, they're in front on the board. 14-12. Hegarty, Fittler, then Wing in a bit of trouble. Tate missed him. Wing's away. He's being chased by Takiri. Takiri runs him down like a rabbit. 40 out from the line. Now an appeal. It is granted. Penalty, Sydney Roosters. But there is no Fitzgibbon, so Crocker, if they take a kick.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Brent Tate going for a one-on-one strip, missed him, and they've decided not to take the 2. They're looking to get 6 and dash 8 clear if possible.
A crawling Kalis plays the ball. Here is Bonetti inside the 20-metre line. Looking for a quick play the ball. No markers at all. Fittler steps. Fittler takes it to within 5 metres of the line. Plays it back to Bonetti. Bonetti away for Fletcher. Fletcher can unload from anywhere. Not this time, though. And he's pulled down a metre from the line. Craig Wing. Brad Fittler. Then it is Luke Phillips. Oh! That tackle wrapped him across the chin. But it's been let go. Played by Phillips. Hegarty is with the ball. Fleck passes. Craig Wing lofts the pass out. Wasn't touched by Brisbane. It is with the Roosters. It is still with Mullins. Scoops it away for Phillips. This is the last tackle. That is the turnover.
Exciting finish to that set of 6. Not the best finish we've seen, but desperation football from both sides. And now the Broncos go wide. 20-metre pass to Tallis, but he's well wrapped up.
20 out from his own line. Berrigan. Away it goes for Corey Parker. Tackled in the opposition 20. That is of gigantic... Oh! Very strong defence from Kalis and Morley on Webke. Now Langer. Philip Lee is taken down by Fittler and Crocker. 4th tackle down. As they come out to the 30-metre line, Tate is tackled by Crocker. 5th tackle. So they'll be looking now for the number 1. Here he is, Lockyer, to the left foot. Down it goes to the Roosters 20-metre line. Luke Phillips is on his way back. Comes to Michael De Vere, tackled on the 40-metre line by De Vere and Walker.
Yeah, that was an amazing stat. The Roosters 21 tackles in the opposing 20, but more amazing, the Broncos none. And Alan Langer tonight, he is at his most dangerous when the Broncos have the ball in that 20-metre zone. And nothing tonight.
Craig Wing again! And again he's run down, this time by Sivana Siva. Wonderful athleticism by Sivana Siva, who makes another tackle. The ball is loose. It is now with Kalis. And Kalis, he gets the ball away to Hegarty. Hegarty straightens up and takes it over the 40-metre line. Plays it back, and away it goes with Fitzgibbon, who's back on the park. Now for Hegarty, and Fittler flat up the middle, loses the ball, but it's a penalty. To the Roosters again.
7-0 the penalties, and this time they're 25 out.
And it's not just that one, mate. There's a couple I'm calling you back. You've got to work with me. And if you work with me, I don't have to blow the... I'm not worried about other weeks, I'm worrying about today.
Gordon blowing up. They can't crack it for a penalty anywhere, and right now Craig Fitzgibbon will line up the penalty kick 25 metres out right in front of the post to give them a 4-point lead, and the players sucking them in. It's been a high-speed match.
Yeah, it's back to the wall stuff, isn't it? Great work from Jason Kalis to get a ball away after bouncing off 3 defenders. But if I was Brad Fittler, I'd have to be sending my attack at Alan Langer. I think tonight that his timing and the technique in his tackling has just been really out of sync, and that's why we've seen a lot of high stuff. And I think that they are a little bit vulnerable on that side. Fitzgibbon now to put his team 4 in front if he can land this one.
And now Harrigan having a big snap at the Broncos players creeping inside the 10 metres.
Fancy was hunting one of the trainers as well. Fitzgibbon from right in front, 28 out to make it 16-12. Hits it, and it's okay. No problems. Fitzgibbon back on the park, picks up another 2. It's a 4-point break for the Sydney side as we take a break. Langer is back on the benches. Lockyer kicks off. Down into the corner for Mullins.
Right, here I am. Have a look.
Back at Aussie Stadium, the Roosters leading 16-12. And they've got about 18 minutes of the match remaining.
Have a look for me.
Penalty count 7-0 in favour of the Roosters. Ricky Stewart has gone down to the sidelines. He was telling us last week that he has a communication problem up in the stands when there's a big crowd here, and he can get his messages to his runners much easier down on the sidelines.
And you would never have thought that in a game this close, this time of the year, that man there would be on the bench with 20 to go. Defensively, he hasn't been good tonight, but again, we've got to point out that his preparation has been awful for this game, with illness to his father in the family, and must have been very, very tough to focus on this.
Great defence by the Roosters. They're starting to muscle up. They've got the smell in the nostrils. They can smell a grand final. They went there in 2000 to be denied by Brisbane. Now they lead by 4, and they've got 17 minutes to hang on to it. Tallis is coming off. Berrigan sends this kick floating down across the Minicello. Away from 20. Comes to Carlo. Beats him. Taken by Takiri and Tate. 35 away from his own line. Andrew Voss sideline.
And I'll try and make a prediction on what Wayne Bennett will do here. He's only got 2 interchanges left, and 3 of the players on the bench. You've got Webke and Tallis. You would expect both of those players to come back. Langer would be the odd man out in that 3.
Shot of the bench. Kalis plays it for the Roosters. Fittler goes across to Fitzgibbon, who finds a little hole. Tackled 40 metres out. 4 changes left for Ricky Stewart. 2 for Wayne Bennett. Morley, look at the strength of the man. Got rid of Dane Carlaw, who's not exactly a dwarf. He just pushed him away. Now it's with Fittler. Into the breeze. He kicks. It's coming across towards Mullins. Walker and Mullins go for the jump. Wing gets it away. Hegarty gives it on to Lomu. Lomu's pass is going way back. Running with it is Kalis. He puts in a kick. Berrigan fields it. Now he comes away from his 20-metre line. He beats Flannery and is tackled 30 metres out from the Brisbane line.
Well, obviously the game is in the balance, but you do think that if the Roosters can get more than 6 in front of their opposition, they are home in this game. I think Brisbane's struggling to stay in it at the moment. They are so dangerous. If they had to score twice, I just don't think it's in them.
Lee passing from almost off the ground. And Chrissy Walker is tackled now by Benetti eventually. Just a couple of metres on the Roosters' side of halfway. Now they're going to have to call on this defensive record. Tate turns it inside for Takiri, who's tackled by Fittler and Wing. The halves making the tackle. 35 metres out from the Roosters' line. Lockyer tries to punch a hole. Berrigan is tackled. Last tackle is with the Broncos. Lockyer puts it up in the air. It's a skyscraper. They call it over there. Minicello said, my ball. Takes it. Takes the tackle. Maguire is on.
And the Broncos still...
Oh, Maguire's let go with a right to the side of the jaw of Hodges.
Well, Casey Maguire did not appreciate being dragged off the tackle by Justin Hodges. Strong effort on Minicello, thumped him to the ground. Hodges came in, got rid of him, and then whack.
Crowd have just seen it on the screen. Welcome to TV ringside.
Okay, number.
Here's Bill.
You got his number for me? All right. Here. Both listen to the report.
There wasn't a hell of a lot in it. Maguire's the instigator through the first punch.
Oh. Okay, you're saying the punch penalty's going to go against you. You're giving as much as you're getting, so don't go over the top. You got me? Right.
So put down another penalty. This will be the 8th penalty to nothing in favour of the Sydney Roosters. Maguire gives a penalty.
Now, I know that Maguire was doomed to be the instigator there by throwing the first punch, but he doesn't throw a punch if he's not dragged away from where he's trying to be. So it's one of those line ball ones again. Obviously, if you throw the punch, you're going to be penalised.
Dominant, one. For me and hold.
Lomu on his 30. Here is Morley. These runs from Morley have been inspirational tonight. Now Bonetti, talking about inspiration, what about him? What about him? There was talk out there that his face had collapsed. And it is with Phillips now. Here it is with Craig Wing. Just inside the 40-metre line. He will play the ball. The Roosters are leading by 4. 13.5 minutes to go in the preliminary final. Fittler turns it back on the inside for Morley. And 5th tackle is there now for the Roosters. They go away to Fittler. Fittler puts a kick in, back and across, and it'll go dead. So they will regroup their defensive line. Back on the 30, waiting for the 20-metre tap to restart it.
Well, the Broncos need something special. There's only 2 players, I reckon, in their side who can produce it. And they are, of course, Darren Lockyer, who's their best player, and Chris Walker. He's the man who's probably one of the fastest on the field. He has got to start looking for the ball, put himself into some holes, and support the big men, looking for a miracle pass somewhere.
Here's Corey Parker. Dragged back by Hodges. Hodges had him by a leg. And the others were pushing. He was pulling.
Looked like Thanksgiving for a minute, didn't it?
I thought they're going to rip him apart. It was like one of those wishbones that you get at Christmas time. Which half do you want? Berrigan plays it. Tate runs it. To the halfway line they come with Lee. Lockyer. Oh, gee, that might be forward. Harrigan has let it go. There were plenty of people groaning, thinking that Berrigan was offside. Lockyer puts in a kick. Oh, Minicello. Gee, I tell you what, he's an adventurous player. Here's this incident. No, that's okay. That's fine.
Yeah, the fact he was being forced back at the time looked as though it went forward, but Minicello's been outstanding. That's the 4th or 5th high kick in a row he's taken in this swirling breeze. A great effort by the winger.
Fitzgibbon will play it. Hegarty sees an opening presented by the markers, tried to get through, wasn't quick enough. Fitzgibbon using Fletcher to bullock his way down the ground. He's been playing more of the role of a prop forward, Brian, than the fancy player that we know, the ball player that we know. He's really put his frame on the line a couple of times, and that was probably brought about mainly by the injury to Kalis. Here's Lockyer, almost making a fool of a couple of tacklers back on the 20-metre line. Mind you, he does that often. Here's De Vere, and they go across to the left. There doesn't seem to be a lot of pattern about Brisbane, though, does there?
No, they're just looking for some individual brilliance. And Paul pointed out the place. Way, there we go. 69 minutes.
Brisbane. That will bring a wry smile to some of the faces. It is pretty much impossible to believe that one side could be perfect.
And nearly
perfect for 70 minutes in the game.
Nearly 70 minutes into the match, and Brisbane are still yet to be tackled inside the Roosters 20. On the end of this set of 6, maybe they'll get close.
Sivanasiva drives the ball to the 40, and now second set of hands, it is Corey Parker. Middle of the ground, 33 metres away. 10 minutes away now from the grand final for one of these sides. And just right now, you'd think it's going to be the Roosters, leading by 4. Here is Carlo with a little dummy, and then it's gone away to Tate, and Tate away to Takiri, but pretty much everything they did there was telegraphed. The Roosters had no trouble reading it. And now it is with Lee on the 20-metre line. Berrigan looking at an excess of numbers on the short side. They might still work that. They are. Lockyer puts a kick in, and they're going to let it go. It'll come back to the 20 for the restart. Darren now has got it up in top gear.
Well, Lockyer is blowing up. He believes that this was touched by the number 15 and 19 coming across, Luke Phillips.
I actually think he might have actually been complaining about the tackle by Hodges, but it was simultaneous.
I don't think Phillips got a touch, so I take it he was blowing up about the late tackle from Hodges. Fitzgibbon 30 out from his own line as Hegarty goes across, and there's a gap. The big fella's up the middle. Fittler's over the 40, comes down, gets the ball away, and it is with Corey Parker. Brisbane then counter-punching. Lee through to Carlaw. Carlaw running at Craig Wing and Chris Flannery. Fittler has threatened up the middle a couple of times.
I really think Wayne Bennett, as we have a look at the interchange situation, has got to get... Well, he's got Gordon Tallis out there now, and I think he needs Webb. They need the big blokes to get the team forward to open up something for this man.
Lockyer tackled on halfway. Now it is across for Lee. Lee holds it back, finds Walker. Walker dummies, then passes. He finds Takeri. Takeri is tackled on the 30-metre line. Berrigan for Lee to the 20 to Lockyer. Fittler comes up and they come in numbers. Kalis and Fletcher. They bring him down. That's the turnover.
No, that is
back
great.
On the 20-metre line.
Great defence. He's their most dangerous player, Lockyer, and as soon as he got it on the 5th tackle, he was swarmed upon by 3 or 4 Roosters. And look, there's 8 minutes to go, and the Roosters only lead by 4. And we'll also have had the better of this second half. You just can't write off the other mob, can you? They're not home yet, the Roosters.
No, they're not, but they nearly were when Fittler went up the middle. Just a little while ago, he went through, and Mullins is saying put a kick in, waving like a traffic cop. Stewart went up. He thought that was the end of the game, and the pass went adrift. But here they are again attacking through Fittler, back for Morley. 40 metres out, 1 change left for Wayne Bennett, 2 for Ricky Stewart. And Bonetti loses the ball behind him. There can be no argument about that. The ball comes off the boot of Wing. Down it goes to Chris Walker. Walker, Harrigan's head backwards. And Chris Walker is tackled.
Yeah, Harrigan's head backwards, and about 30,000 Rooster supporters said, "You're kidding, Bill."
Now, Berrigan standing and offloading.
I don't think they were calling him Bill, Paul.
Tallis, back it goes for Chris Walker. Corey Parker, he's got them up in his face and they put him away. 25 metres out from the line. Brisbane at the wrong end of the park. 4 points behind, 16-12. Ball played back there by De Vere. Now Walker tries to go through. Ball has been lost. It'll be a loose head and feed for the Sydney Roosters. Flannery and Fletcher. They hit Chris Walker with everything.
And Walker claiming a rake, a strip. You're kidding, ref.
You, here.
Well, I couldn't hear him and I was right beside him. I was right here and I couldn't hear him. He must have been lip reading. Were you lip reading or did you hear him?
Gordon said I was right beside him. I couldn't hear him, sir.
Oh, mate.
Bill said you must be deaf, Gordon.
There for all of us to hear. I made a call. My touch judge made a call. I don't tell you how to play. You don't start going off like me. You know where you'll end up if you talk to me like that again, right?
I've had a good rest now anyway, Gordy.
Right, in there.
So here's Chris. There's no doubt about Fletcher's intention. He's got a hand on the ball and he's raked it. And that's the reason Chris Walker was blowing up. Wing sets off across the park. And it is Hodges who will play the ball 8 metres into Brisbane's territory. Well, looking at that replay, they should have got a penalty, Brisbane. As it turned out, though, Walker is given Harrigan a gobful, and the Roosters have come up with the penalty and possession. Flannery, 30 metres out from the line. He was in the tackle with Fletcher. Now Hegarty, he looks like he might have bulked up a bit, which is probably strange when you consider that he's had a broken jaw. Bonetti, Fittler, wing. Now they're trying to get through them out wide on the right. Back to Minicello. This is Fittler. There's the kick. Look at the chasers, and they will tackle them, and they do in goal.
Yeah, they needed that. Ricky Stewart barking orders. Johnny Cartwright, former great back row, with Penrith sitting next to him. And that was a wonderful kick. And look at the eager Beaver defence.
Fitzgibbon is having a great end to this season. Here's Cusack, taken down by Brad Myers and also by Dane Carlaw. Flannery offers it, but he's basically told by his captain, take it yourself. Take a settler to the middle, to the 20-metre line. Bonetti, he takes another. There's a 4-point margin here. 16-12, the Roosters leading, and we're inside the last 5. Wing gives it back for Crocker. Crocker on the end of a Tallis special. He's put away. Play back for Flannery. Now to Fletcher. Then the other F. Fittler goes across the 10 metres. Gets away from another. Stands and looks to unload. Put away 5 metres out from the line. Tackle 5. Bonetti puts in a kick. And it's been knocked on by Brisbane, by Berrigan.
Yeah, that's what Harrigan's saying. Just wondering if it came off his knees or did he get hands to it?
He might have knocked on right at the end. Simon Bonetti kicks it. Right at the beginning.
Good call by the referee. He was right there and desperately trying to get that. Couldn't get there. 3 minutes remain. Roosters still lead by 4.
Well, if he gets a hand on, if he gets a clean catch, that was going to be one of the great races of all time. Berrigan with 90 metres to travel. Wing. Fittler. Fittler away for Minicello. Gets it back for Hegarty. Hegarty away for Mullins. Mullins for the corner. Mullins dives. The arms go up. Now he's into touch.
Yeah, he went out. And that's one occasion where Brett Mullins, he had to go in field. I know a try wins it, but if they keep possession at this end of the field, he had to go back inside Chris Walker.
That's a great effort by Chris Walker. Ricky Stewart went up, and then he saw the red flag. No! Kicks a chair. 2 minutes to go.
Ricky's had the purse spent on 2 occasions.
Well, Ricky wants his team now not to concede a penalty. They cannot piggyback the Broncos out of their own end and give them a set of 6 inside their own half.
First-year coach. Gould did it. Can Stewart do it? Carlaw, Lockyer, beautiful tackle, Fitzgibbon.
Tackle of the match, that one. Lockyer was away.
Now Corey Parker takes it to halfway, flicks it to Tallis, Tallis to Berrigan, Berrigan away, Andrew G to Brad Myers, Myers gets it away, they're still alive, Brent Tater's tackled right on the halfway mark. Now it is Maguire who gets it on to Berrigan. Berrigan flicks it back to Maguire. He gets it away to Myers. Myers gets it away to Tate. Tate comes across the park, takes the tackle. That is 5. 1 minute 41 seconds as it goes to Lockyer. Lockyer goes back to the middle. Maguire to G. G's pass might have gone forward to Carey. Makes a run towards the corner. Then he stops, puts in a kick. Hegarty goes back, and Hegarty takes the catch.
Oh, how good is this? This has been one of the best semi-finals I've seen in a long time. Just brilliant football from both sides. Broncos desperate to score a try, and Shannon Hegarty came from nowhere to pick up that kick. It was a beautiful catch.
Mullins on the 3rd tackle. Fletcher on the 4th tackle. Now where's the boot of Fittler? Bonetti takes a run. He's tackled 31 metres away. Fittler waiting for it. Now he gets his kick in. He decides to hit the sideline. He winds the clock down. Stewart is waving. 1 minute. 1 minute, less than a minute to go now. And Fittler knows that. He's sort of saying to his coach, don't worry, Ricky, it's all right. 16-12 the score. Under 30 seconds to go. Harrigan calling timeout.
Well, the players to watch now. Chris Walker's got the speed. Will it be a kick? Will it be a Lockyer, something special?
Well, they're talking to Takiri for him to be ready for something.
Berrigan. Oh, it's been put on the ground, but backwards by Lockyer. However, it has put a punctuation mark in what they were doing. 15 seconds to go. Brisbane trailing by 4. Ball penalty to Brisbane. Penalty to the Broncos. Lockyer takes it himself up towards halfway. He's had the ball taken. Fletcher's on his way. Fletcher's going to get there. No, he's not. Takiri's run him down. But that will be the ball game. Fletcher's tackled. The game is over. The Roosters are into the grand final. 16-12. They have won the first preliminary final. An amazing game. The scenes on the Roosters benches. I don't think I've seen a more animated coach. I don't think I've seen a more nervous coach in rugby league than Ricky Stuart. He played every punch, every tackle with them. The Sydney Roosters have beaten the Brisbane Broncos.